What's up, YouTube? So I actually deleted the power steering pump out of my car. So today I actually have a little tutorial on how to depower your steering rack. It just basically makes it a lot easier to use the steering without the power steering. It's not quite as hard to turn, and it makes it look a hell of a lot cleaner. So stay tuned if you need help with that. All right, so I got the rack and pinion up on my workbench here. Sorry if it's a little crazy with the light. It's kind of dark in the garage, so I'm using my flash. So our first step here is these are our inner tie rods. We're gonna wanna take them out. There's this little tab on each end. You see over here, it's a little easier to see here, but we're gonna wanna bend these tabs up so we can loosen those guys off. I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Easiest way to do it is honestly, you're just gonna put a flat head in here. You're gonna tap them out. I'm gonna need both hands, so. Alrighty, so this was the way I ended up taking it off. I just put a big adjustable wrench on there, and then I came over and I gripped this guy. I just held this way and pulled to loosen it. And then from there, our inner tie rod just comes right off, like so. Bwah, bwah, bwah. Throw that over in the parts pile, and then I'm gonna have to do it on the other side. All right, so here we go now. We got our rack and pinion with no inner or outer tie rods on it. Alrighty, so continuing, our first step here was to remove this big plug. It's kind of a bitch. It's like a 23 millimeter, basically Allen key, which no one in God's name has. I know there's a special dealer part that you can get. What I did was I threw a washer inside of the plug, and then I got a nut that fit inside, and then I used a socket wrench on it. I actually put the washer in there just so I had enough space for it. Let me see if I can find my little micrometer for anyone doing this. I could show you before you get started what size nut you are going to need here. Hold on. Of course, it's gonna be a pain in the butthole to do this with one hand, right? But there you have it. It's 23.7 millimeters, fit directly in there. So I just went to the hardware store, I got a big old nut, dropped it on in there, and then I used my wrench on that. Comes off counterclockwise. Righty-tighty, lefty-loosen laws, no difference there. Once you get this plug out, there's gonna be a spring underneath it, as well as this little seat for it. I'm gonna set those aside all nicely. Next, we are going to flip this bad boy over, and we got a big old nut there, which, since I'm all prepared, oh, this is that bottom piece too, it fell out. So this actually goes underneath all of this, the spring goes inside of there. But, so that was the last piece in there, and then you can see the whole pinion. We're gonna take this guy out just so we can take the top end out and everything, so we can grease everything up all nicely. Now let's see what size socket we are going to need for this guy. Like a 24, so I'm assuming that the big old wrench I was just using, oh man, this one was, of course, I'm not going to be able to get the camera to focus enough, am I? 15/16. Yep, 15/16. So almost 1 inch. Fits right on there. Obviously, I'm not going to be able to hold this while I do it. So I'm going to pause the video, bust that guy loose, and I'll be right back with you. Alrighty, so got that bottom seal plug there taken off. Again, we used 15/16 to get that guy off. So now we got all this out. This, I believe, is a 17 millimeter from what I've read. So I'm gonna go ahead and find a 17 millimeter, and we're gonna take this nut right here out. And again, that was underneath like the Castle plug, not the bolt plug. So we'll get to that, and I'll be right back for the next step. All right, so I took that bottom nut right here off. You see there's the bearing that it all spins on in there. But after removing that nut right here, I took these two bolts right here that went through on the actual pinion itself. Once I took those two out, I cut these lines because I'm going to be deleting them anyways. But then the pinion here actually just comes right out. And that is our fucking pinion. Woo! So no modifications are needed on that guy. So next, we got to remove the seal that holds this big axle in. And then once we remove that, the seal that we're actually going to remove is somewhere down here, and it's on here. So we're going to pull this whole guy out, and we'll get to the seal once we do that. The seal, I know, is a bit of a pain, but it's right here. So we're basically, from what I've heard, we're just gonna spin this guy, and then as we spin him, it'll catch and it'll come out. I'm probably gonna have to MacGyver another little tool for doing this shit, but I saw someone online on a Miata forum used one of these. It's the little chuck to change a cutoff wheel disc, so we'll see just how far off that is and maybe bend that guy in. Oh wow, look at that. He's actually a little too long, so I could just nudge him in a tiny bit and should do the trick. I'm just gonna take a hammer, whack it down once, and we'll kind of play around until we get it to fit. But then basically we're just gonna spin this counterclockwise, and that guy is gonna catch on there eventually, and we're just gonna keep spinning it, and that seal right there, it'll walk its way out of this little slot. And then once we remove that, we can get that plug out, and we can keep it going on here. So it's gonna be kind of a long video here, so I'm gonna pause it while I MacGyver with that. I'll let you know when I'm done what worked best for me. And then after that, we're just gonna remove the rest of these lines, weld the caps up on them just to seal them off. And then we're gonna cut out that seal and we'll be all done. Alrighty, so I spun it counterclockwise until the spring showed itself. And then I am using this guy. It's kind of hard to do with one hand, but just spinning it, and that's gonna bring that seal all the way out for us. There we go. Boom, seal's out, and that cap fell out too. Oh boy. Oh. So there's our seal. There's that end cap. Those guys right there. Everything's just a mess there, but hey, it works. So I believe now I can actually pull it all the way out. I don't think anything else should be holding it in. I'm not sure. The other ones didn't have these pins here, so I don't know if that's gonna hold anything in, but we'll find out. So I'm gonna let you go. I'm gonna try to pull it out. I'll let you know how I get it all out, and I'll be back. Alrighty, when I tried to pull it out, sorry, there's garbage trucks in the background, but when I tried to pull it out, I couldn't pull it out. So I stuck it kind of in my clamp. I turned it upside down, and let's see, where's the guy I used? Boop. I just used my breaker bar handle and kind of gave it a nice little tap. There's actually a seal on the bottom end, and long story short, that seal was blocking it from actually coming out. But so there is our fully disassembled rack here. It's got nothing left in it. And then this is our actual big rod out of the rack. Woo. We're gonna clean that bad boy up But see, so this seal right here, this big one, that's what was preventing me from pulling it out. It just required a little tap. As you see, it's a O-ring on it, so just required a little bit of a tap to snug it out. But then this right here, this guy is the hydraulic seal, and we're gonna be taking a cutoff wheel and we're gonna cut that guy out of there. Probably not gonna be able to film it while I cut it out, but I'm just gonna take a cutoff wheel and I'm gonna cut down a little bit in a few spots, and we're gonna break that seal out of there. It actually is what stops, when you look at the rack here, let me bring it in the light so we can actually explain it. But so your power steering lines come into the top of the rack, and then your high and low sides come out, and the high side pressure goes into these two lines. And you have one on this side, and you have one on this side. Now the seal, hydraulic seal, is somewhere in this area. It's in the middle of the two. But so when you're turning left, the hydraulic fluid will go onto the left side to aid in turning it for you. When you turn to the right, the hydraulic fluid's gonna go to the right side, and it's gonna pressure to help you push it that way. So by deleting the power steering lines, we're not gonna have that hydraulic pressure to help. And this is just creating drag, making it a lot harder for us to turn. So by eliminating this seal, all of this crazy work just to eliminate this seal inside, but it's gonna make a lot less drag. I'll cut these lines out, you know, we'll weld those up, make them look all pretty. But I don't know, I actually might just go and get MPT fittings and put those on instead of welding them up too. We'll see. I'll see what they have at the hardware store next time I go. But so long story short, I'm gonna cut that guy. I'll come back, I'll show you that cut off, and then we'll get to putting stuff back together. Alrighty, so here you can see a little chunk. I just used a cutoff wheel. You can see how it looks after you use the cutoff wheel on it. Again, my tripod is broken, so I'll try to aim you a little bit away to give you some kind of idea on this. But so I cut off a little chunk on the top. As you can see, I didn't cut into the metal much at all. I might have nicked it a tiny. I don't even think I nicked it once, honestly. Oh, a little scratch right here. But I just cut through that bearing. You can see the race for it now. So I'm just gonna take like a hammer and a chisel or something. Just kind of knock it right off of there. Probably don't even need a chisel. Yeah, maybe I do. I'm just spinning it. I think I didn't cut like half off, so I'm gonna make another little cut into it, and then I should be able to take it off no problem. That one good enough. Booyah. Now, there we go. Boom. So now we got that seal off. As you can see, so that hydraulic seal, what was sealing the pressure on each side, so now we're gonna have a lot less drag. As you can see, just a big seal. There's a O-ring on it that flew off while I was cutting it there, but that's the seal that we're trying to remove here, and that's going to remove all the drag in the steering, and it's going to be a lot smoother if you don't have power steering. So that's how you successfully depower the rack. Everything's going to be just kind of assembling it back in the order we took everything off. I'll try to set you up somewhere. I'll do like a little time lapse of setting everything back together. And other than that, I know when we set the part with our spring here, we're gonna have some tension. So that's how you kind of adjust it to see how it moves smoothly. But other than that, I'm gonna get to putting everything back together and we'll go from there. There we go. All right, so ready to assemble. I got a little bit better view. I don't have any of the lines actually on. I took all those out. Like I said, I'm gonna get NPT fittings because I'm not using any of them. Oh yeah. So all this to remove these two ugly lines, pretty much. But it's gonna give us better functionality also. So here's our spline for the middle of it. And I'm gonna be using just some general grease. My grease is from like the 70s, so I don't know. I don't think it matters what kind of grease you use, but I got this super old school grease, and I'm gonna use that. Use a rag for putting it on there, just because I don't want to get it all over my fingers. This stuff is nasty. Nope. No. And you're gonna want to get like a decent coatage around the whole thing. Doesn't have to be crazy. I'm just gonna try to get a little bit of grease around the whole entire like rod, I guess you would call it. I don't know. Pinion shaft. Oh boy. So we got this side all nice and lubed up. I'm gonna do the other side here. Oh boy. And I'm gonna put it back into the rack and pinion housing itself. Still got it like all over my finger. Stuff is nasty. All right, so when we stick it in, it had this seal on it before, so I'm gonna throw that seal back on this end. Is like right in here, so we're just gonna throw this guy on here, maybe. Oh yeah, you don't like that grease. All right, well, as you see, put that seal back on before I throw it in the actual housing itself. And then here's our housing, and we're gonna be putting it in from this side here. So grab it here. And we're gonna drop our whole guy back in. Whoop. Alright, kind of push that one, a little stopper in with my hand. A little bit here, as you can see. Our next step here is we're gonna want to get this weird one that we use that messed up tool for, and I have to pause you when I find that tool to reinstall it, but I don't know exactly what I did with it off the top of my head. Like I got so many little projects going on that I got stuff all over. But so we're gonna put this thing in, and basically this seal is gonna go into here, and we're gonna want to line it up, hook it in, and then we're gonna spin it in order to get it in. So we'll see that in a second here. Let me kind of spin this guy somewhat so you can see. But we're putting that one in, and then I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do this with the light here, but what we're trying to do is we're spinning this seal. You can see that little lip. I can see the lip here. So I want to find the hole that this clip slides into, right? Oh, sorry, I'm holding it way too low. But you can see the lip here. That's the hole I'm aiming for. So I'm gonna push it like so. And then we're gonna get that guy in. Now I'm gonna get that little tool that I used, and I'm gonna put it in the two holes there. We're gonna spin it back into position here. So let me lower you a little bit here so you can get a better view. I'm gonna pause you while I find that tool here. Let me glance real quick if it's right here. I don't have to, but I didn't see it here. God only knows what I did with it. So I'll be back in like 2 minutes. Alrighty, so I found my little tool. Again, I'm going to push this dude in where I need him. See, I need him out of the way, sadly. And then see that? I'm just gonna spin it, and it's gonna pull it, that seal lock, into place. Nice and easy. Boom. There you have it. That seal is in place. Woo! So that was everything on this side, essentially. As you see, our seal goes in and out very nicely. So now we're gonna pull everything back over to this end. I believe the easiest way is gonna be to install the pinion itself first, and then we'll put the bottom nut on to seal that guy down. So you see it was like the castle plug that goes right here. Inside was this 17mm, I believe it was, and that's what's gonna actually thread onto the pinion itself. So again, we're gonna lube this guy up generously. I actually went like way overboard on it, so I'm gonna wipe a little bit away. But as you see, we got it nice and greased out real well. So now the pinion itself is going to come in the top. Let's see. So my lines ran that way. So it's going to go this way. And up. It's in my way in there. That is an interesting one. Oh yeah. Let's see. I think I'm just hitting the angle wrong. Come on, guy. We know that you wants to go home. The heck am I missing here, man? I know you go through there. Ay, there, give me 1 second. I'm gonna use the light. I'm like hitting, oh, you know what it is? I'm a fucking idiot. Duh. All right, so I gotta actually turn this because the teeth are gonna mesh with those teeth. So we're gonna want our axle to actually face in here because our teeth are gonna need to mesh. Kind of not thinking that much on this one. There we go. Yeah, so obviously when you install it, you're gonna want the teeth facing this way. So the teeth from here mesh with the teeth from there. That's what actually spins it. I don't know why I was kind of being an idiot there trying to put them in, wondering why they weren't wanting to go in. So now it's two 12mm bolts, obviously. They're gonna go in the top of here. I'm not actually going to torque them down right now. I'm just gonna put them in there for the time being. Keep our pinion in place, more or less. There we go. So now this bottom part, we're gonna tighten the nut on here. And this guy was a 17mm. I might have it on backwards. Might want to go that way. No, I had it right. So, and there goes the bolt. But, so we're gonna put that 17mm on there. Let me find a good old 17 for me here. The 17's gotta be down here. Whee. So I just have it real loose here. I'm gonna adjust it a little bit later. We're just gonna go kind of how in depth on how to install everything. So we got the bottom bolt on. Next is gonna come this castle plug here. I don't remember what size that one was. I'm assuming it was going to be that 15/16 that we used the other day. You should not be that tight. Oh boy, so you do have to get him much tighter there. So That still feels pretty decent to turn. No. So, happy with that. Now this plug will go on. It won't be hitting that thing immediately. It's still very tight. I'm not sure why. Came off pretty nicely, so. I'm not sure what its problem is, but that's okay. Get her back on. I have to like go and chase those threads, I think. But just to speed it up, I'm gonna obviously have to go through that. Our next step is gonna be big plug right here. Now, our only remaining parts are this huge monster plug that we had there. And other than that ones, we got this guy and we got this guy. So again, I'm gonna get lazy here. I'm gonna take a big old clumper of that. Lubricate the crap out of this dude. I'll put a little in there. Not on the threads, guys. Now this piece is gonna be the one that goes in first. And essentially, we're just pushing that one in, and that's gonna rest against the pinion. Now, we're gonna throw in our little spring. Whoop. And then this castle plug is gonna go right on the top. Brown, 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 brown. And this is gonna kinda ensure how much tension you have. So if you put it in and it's just way, way, way too tight and you're just really having a bear of a time to turn it, you're just gonna wanna back this guy off a little bit, you know? You're gonna hold this one, back this one off, and it's gonna release some of the tension from pushing against the pinion. If it's way too sloppy, you're gonna wanna tighten that one up to make it stiffer. The one on the bottom is just gonna be kinda like side to side play. But other than that, to put this one in, I had to use an old crummy washer I had laying around. And then I used this big old socket. I threw him in there, and that was what I used to actually loosen this guy all up. So that is what I will have to use to put them all in. But once you get all that together, guys, you have successfully depowered your rack and pinion. Now me, I'm gonna have to go through everything and tension it, but as you see, I'm gonna have to get my little MPT fittings. But other than that, we have a 100% depowered rack there now. Took that hydraulic seal out of the middle, and that's ready to go in. I just got to get line fitting there, line fitting there, 2 there, and then 2 there. And me personally, once I get it in the car, I'm not gonna tighten either of these guys all the way yet. Once I get in the car, I have pretty good access to these from the driver's side underneath. So I'm gonna get it in the car. I'm gonna hook up the steering linkage, and I'm gonna actually kind of put my car on the ground, feel it, and adjust it from there until I like the settings. It's easy without the engine being in my car, so I'll be able to do that super easy. But other than that, if you were wondering how to depower your DSM rack and pinion, I hope I could help you out, and give it a like, and catch you guys on the next one. All right, thought I'd give a little quick update at the end of the video. So I went to the hardware store, had a really hard time finding fittings for the deleted lines. I actually had this M16 fitting out of a old town car intake manifold kit I had installed when I was working for a limo company. The town cars had 2 ports for coolant temperature sensors, and some years only had 1 sensor, some years had 2. And it actually came with this plug that I've had sitting in my toolbox for years, which fit totally good. And then when getting the other fittings, I ordered them online. I figured, why not make this a serviceable unit going down the line? So I actually bought the M14 grease fittings. So all of the old lines are now sealed and they have grease fittings. So if my steering ever starts to drag, I can just go put a little bit more grease in there, smoothing everything up. So now we got a serviceable manual rack. So if you guys have any other questions or you're trying to do this yourself, feel free to message down below. I'll do anything I can to help you guys out. And other than that, power steering is now manual steering. Dun dun dun. I'll probably throw another video installing it back into the car. I got everything over here ready. I'm gonna be installing my motor here. I'll probably throw the rack in before I put the motor in, just so I have a little bit more room. And that'll be the next video, so stay tuned, guys. Next video will be connecting the transmission and installing the engine and the rack and pinion. So we got a cool little video coming after this, and we'll try to keep progress on the project car rolling. So stay tuned, and remember to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys next time.